We are starting with the new chapter, Chapter 1, Solid State. A solid is a substance whose melting point is above the room temperature under atmospheric condition. And we all know the physical properties of solid state. Some I am telling you here. Solids are rigid and have definite shape. Intermolecular particle distance are very short and intermolecular forces are very strong in solid state. Solids maintain their volume independent of the size and shape of the container in which they are placed. Solids are almost incompressible. They are rigid. They have high density. Solids have negligible fluidity, means they don't flow. The diffusion of the particles in the solid state is negligible. In this chapter, we will study about the types of solid. We are having two types of solid, crystalline solids and amorphous solids. Those solids in which the constituent particles have a regular orderly arrangement throughout and it's get repeated again and again to form a large 3D structure having a definite pattern is known as crystalline solid. So these crystalline solids have definite characteristic shapes. These are true solids. These are anisotropic in nature. They are having the sharp melting point. For example, NaCl, LiCl, ZnS, etc. Anisotropic mean they changes their physical properties in different direction, means they have different physical properties in different directions. Amorphous solids are those solids in which the constituent particles does not have regular arrangement throughout. Therefore, they are having irregular shape. These are called pseudo-solids because they are false solid, or they are also called supercooled liquid because at high temperature they cools down and start flowing up, just have the properties of liquid. Therefore, they are called supercooled liquid. These are isotropic in nature. This means they don't have different properties in different direction. Their properties remain same in all direction. They have range of temperature. They don't have a sharp melting point. There is a range of melting point also. So amorphous solids are glass, rubber, polymers, etc. Amorphous solids are called supercooled liquid because they have some characteristics similar to that of your liquids. For example, glass soften on heating to a certain temperature and behave like a fluid. Now, crystalline solids are of different types depending upon what are their constituent particles. If the constituent particles are cations and anions, they are known as ionic solid. If they are atoms, they are known as covalent solids. If they are molecules, they are known as molecular solids. And if a positively charged canals is moved with are surrounded by the movable electrons, they are known as metallic solid. So crystalline solids are of four types: ionic solids, molecular solids, and metallic solid. As we know, the binding forces between cations and anions are very strong. So in ionic solids, we have strong electrostatic force of attraction. In covalent solids, we are having covalent bonding between the atoms. But in molecular solids, there are London forces, that is dispersion force, dipole-dipole attraction, or hydrogen bonds between the molecules. In metallic solids, we are having metallic bonds between the positively charged canals and the movable electrons. The physical nature of ionic solids are hard and brittle. Covalents are hard. Molecular solids are soft, whereas the metallic solids are hard. They are malleable and ductile, but they are not brittle. The melting point of ionic are very high due to the presence of the strong electrostatic force of attraction between the cations and anions. Covalent bonds are also very strong, therefore they also have high melting point. Molecular solids have a weak dispersion force or the dipole-dipole attraction, therefore their melting point is low. And metallic solids, again the metallic bonding is there, due to which they are having high melting point. These ionic solids are insulators in the solid state, but as in the aqueous form or in the molten state, they becomes conductor. Covalent bond solids are always insulator in nature. Molecular solids are also insulators, whereas the metallic solids are a good conductor of electricity. Next one is your enthalpy of fusion is very high due to the strong electrostatic force between the cations and anions. It Enthalpy of fusion is high because of the presence of covalent bond. Weak molecular forces, weak London forces, dipole-dipole moment makes the enthalpy of fusion for the molecular solids very low, and the enthalpy of fusion for the metallic solid is moderate. All the solids which forms ions, for example NaCl, Na positive, Cl negative, or NaNO3, Na positive, NO3 negative, MgO, Mg2 positive, O2 negative, all the solids which form ions belongs to ionic solid. Diamond graphite, quartz, silicon carbides, these all have the covalent bonds, therefore they belongs to covalent solids. These are the molecule carbon dioxide that is in the solid state, which we also call as dry ice, iodine, naphthalene, water in the solid state, which we call it as ice, are molecular solids, and all the metals, whether they are copper, iron, aluminum, silver, gold, all are your metallic solid. So we are having different crystalline solids in the form of ionic solid, covalent solids, molecular solids, and metallic solid. Now we will deal with the crystal lattice and the unit cell. The regular 3D dimensional arrangement of the points here represent your atoms in a crystals is called crystalline lattice or the space lattice. This is the space lattice I have made out of two unit cells, and the smallest unit, but it is a complete unit in the space lattice, which when repeated over again and again in the three dimension generates the crystal of the given substance. So the smallest but complete unit in a space lattice is known as unit cell, and these unit cells repeats again and again to form a 3D structure which is known as space lattice or your crystal lattice. A unit cell is completely characterized in the term of its edge length. A cube is having three edge lengths A, B and C. The edges A, B, and C represent the dimensions of the unit cell in space along the three axes X, Y, and Z. And the angles between them are known as edge angles. There are three angles between the edges. Alpha angles formed between B and C. Beta angles are formed between A and C. And gamma angles are formed between A and B. So depending upon the length, edge lengths and the edge angles, we are having different types of unit cells. Now there are two types of unit cell here. One is the primitive unit cell and the second one is non-primitive unit cell. Primitive unit cells are those unit cells which have particles only at the corners. So here I have represented these particles by the circles, which are present only on the corners of the cube, and this is known as simple unit cell. Non-primitive unit cells are those cells when the particles are not only present on the corners but also at some other positions in the unit cell. They are of three types. First one is your face-centered unit cell, or we call it as FCC. Here the particles are present not only at the corners but also present in the center of all the faces. So we know that there are six faces, so there are six atoms present at the center of the six faces, and this type of unit cells are known as face-centered unit cell. Next one is your body-centered unit cell or BCC. Here, the particles are present not only at the corners but also present in the center of the unit cell. In this case, the particles are present at the corners as well as on the centers of the faces of the opposite face. On the centers of the opposite face, either they can be left, right, up and down, or front or back. So that type of unit cells are known as end face unit cells. We will calculate the number of particles in a unit cell. If a particle is present at the corner of the unit cell, its contribution to that unit cell is 1 by 8. And if the particle is present on the center of the face, its contribution will be half to that unit cell. A particle which is present on the edge will have 1/4 its contribution to that unit cell. But if a particle is present within the body, its contribution is 1 to that unit cell. So now we will calculate the number of particles present in a simple unit cell. We know that in a simple unit cell, only particles are present at the corner of the unit cell, and there are 8 corners of the unit cell. So number of particles at 8 corners will be 8. Total number of particles at the corners will be 8, and contribution from each of the corner particle is 1 by 8. So the total number of particles in a unit cell will be 1 by 8 into 8, and that is 1 particle. A simple unit cell contains only 1 particle. For body-centered unit cell, in which the particles are present at the corners and one of the particle is present at the center of the body of the cube. The contribution of the 8 particles present at the corner will be 1 by 8, and the contribution of particles present in the body will be 1. So 8 particles are present at the corners and their contribution is 1 by 8. So total contribution will become 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2. The total number of particles which are present in the body cell, unit cell, is your 2. Face-centered unit cell, the contribution of the 8 particles present at the corner will be 1. And we know that contribution of each face particle will be half. Contribution of 6 particles on the center of each face is your 3, and the total number of particles in FCC will become 3 plus 1, that is 4. So in simple unit cell we are having only 1 particle, whereas in body unit cell we are having 2 particles, and in FCC or face centered unit cell we are having 4 particles. Now we will study how these particles or how these atoms are packed in a 1 dimension, 2 dimensions and 3 dimension. So here is close packed structures. First of all, we are studying about the close packing in one direction. In one dimension, the particles are arranged in a row so that they may touch each other. As a result, each sphere is in contact with 2 neighbors. Now, the number of nearest neighbors in contact is called coordination number. Suppose this is a particle shaded one and it is in contact with the 2 atom. The nearest particles are 2. The coordination number of this one becomes 2. So here the number of the nearest neighbors in contact with a particular sphere in close packing in one dimension is 2, therefore the coordination number becomes 2. Now here the close packing in 2 dimension, which is achieved in 2 ways. First one is my square close packing. In this type, the spheres are packed in such a way that the sphere of the second row are exactly above that of the first row. This means that the different rows have horizontal as well as vertical alignments, and if we label the first row as A, the second row and the third row is also similar to that of the first row. Therefore, they are also named as A. Therefore, this type of closed packing is known as AA type of closed packing. Since each sphere is in contact with four other spheres, the coordination number of this type of closed packing becomes 4 and therefore it is known as square closed packing. Second type of two-dimension closed packing is your hexagonal closed packing. In this case, the second row is placed above the first row in a staggered manner in such a way that the spheres fit in the depressions of the first row. This means that the second row is different from that of the first row. If the first row is labeled as A, the second row is termed as B. When the third row is built on the second row, it will align with the sphere of the first row. This also means that the third row will be same as that of the first row and it is named as A type. This type of arrangement is known as AB-AB type or ABA type, as a single sphere is surrounded by the six spheres, so the coordination number will become 6 and this type of closed packing is known as hexagonal closed packing. Now the closed packing in the three-dimensional. First we can obtain the closed packing in 3D from the square closed packing of 2D. In this case, the two-dimensional square closed packing, spheres of the second row are exactly above that of the first row. They have horizontal as well as vertical alignment. In the same way, more layers can be arranged as shown in this figure. If the arrangement of the spheres in the first layer is labeled as A type, all the layers will have the same type of arrangement and they all are known as AAA type of arrangement. And this generates a simple cubic unit cell, and this is your primitive unit cell, and the lattice is called simple cubic lattice. The 3D structure can also be obtained from the hexagonal closed packing of the 2D dimension. From the hexagonal closed packing, we are having two types of voids. Here, one void is this A and the second void which is facing downward is your B. When we have aligned the second row on the depression of the first row, we have got two types of void A and B. In order to build the 3D structure, the second layer has to be placed on the first layer or base layer of the sphere. And this can be done by placing the sphere of second layer either on the voids A or void B. But at the same time, we can't put or we can say we can't cover both the voids. So if we are covering the void A, I have done here, the void A has been covered by the blue spheres which were already present in the first layer. Okay, so first the void A which were already present in the first layer and were left unoccupied when the second layer is built. The void C which has been created in the sphere of the second layer. This means again we are having the two types of void, one which is already present before in the first layer and the new void which has been generated by placing the spheres on one of the voids of the first layer. Now the third layer can be built in two ways, by placing the spheres on the void C of the second layer, mean that is the new void, and in doing so that third layer is similar to that of the first layer. Therefore, it is called AB type of close packing or hexagonal close packing, and in short form it is known as HCP. The coordination number for this type of close packing is your 12. How? We will discuss it later on. If the spheres of the third layer covers the void marked as A, which is present at the beginning, then the third layer will be different from that of the first and the second layer, and it is marked as C. This type of close packing is called ABC type or cubic close packing, CCP. Coordination number is 12. Now, how these coordination number is 12? This is the center sphere. It is surrounded by the 6 other spheres in the same plane and 3 spheres below and 3 sphere above, which makes the coordination number 12 in HCP and CCP. While keeping the atoms very close to each other, even then some space left vacant or empty. The space which is left in between the closest packing arrangement is called voids, hole, or interstitial sites. These are of two types. First one is our tetrahedral and the second one is our octahedral. The tetrahedral void is formed when the triangular void made by the three spheres of a particular layer and touches each other has a contact with one sphere either in the upper or in the lower layer. So here is the void, triangular void. A sphere has been placed above this void so that the void, the hole which is present below this arrangement is known as tetrahedral void. There are two tetrahedral void associated with each sphere. The radius of the tetrahedral void in a closest packed structure is 22.5% of the sphere which is involved in this arrangement. And now I will tell you how we have got it. In a tetrahedral void, the three spheres forms the triangular base while the fourth sphere lies on the top. The shaded sphere which I have tapped over here is the tetrahedral voids. The radius of the void is small r and the radius of the sphere is capital R. The edge length of the cube has been taken as small a. In this triangle, right hand triangle A, B and C, the AB square is equal to AC square plus BC square. However, the atoms has been seen here so far, but actually these spheres are touching each other. So here this one is the A atom, this one is B atom. They are touching each other and the radius of these atoms or the spheres is your capital R. So the length of AB will become 2 capital R. So if I go for this one in the right hand triangle, AB square will be your A square plus A square because AC and BC will be your edge length, and already told you that edge length of the cube is denoted by A. So AB square will be your 2A square and the AB will become your A under root 2. Actually, A and B are touching each other, therefore AB is also 2R. So I can write here 2R is equal to A under root 2. So R is equal to A under root 2 by 2, or we can say the value of R will become A under root 2. So here the value of R is A under root 2. Now we will go for the right hand triangle again ABD. In A, B and D, this is the right hand triangle and AD is your body diagonal which is between your A, atom A, the white the atom present in the void and atom D. All these three atoms are touching each other. So AD square will be equal to BD square plus AB square. So I have done here AD is equal to under root AB square plus BD square and the value of AD comes as under root 3A. Now I have represent this as AD in which A the void sphere and the d atom sphere are touching each other, and the value of AD will become 2r plus 2r. So 2r plus 2r will be equal to your under root 3a. When we are taking it as r plus r, it will become under root 3a upon 2. Dividing the r plus r by r, it will be under root 3 by 2a divided by a under root 2, and the answer will become your under root 3 upon under root 2. So here again I have solved this portion and taken as 1 plus r by r equal to under root 3 by under root 2. Putting the values of under root 3 and under root 2 and taking the value of r upon r. So r upon r will become under root 3 upon under root 2 minus 1 here. The value of under root 3 is 1.732 and under root 2 is 1.414, and on solving it, the ratio of the radius of void to radius of the sphere will become 0.225. The coordination number of the tetrahedral void is 4 because that void is surrounded by the 4 atoms, 3 in a single plane and 1 above or below that plane. So 4 atoms are surrounding the void, therefore the coordination number will become 4. Now for the octahedral voids, I have taken 3 spheres and make the 2 triangular voids. These triangular equivalent triangulars and the triangular voids has been formed over here, and they has been placed in a opposite direction. Now they are being put over one another pointing in the opposite direction. Now this void which is left, the empty hole which is left over here, is your octahedral voids. Only one octahedral void is associated with each sphere, whereas two tetrahedral voids is associated with each sphere, and here the radius of the void and sphere is in the ratio of 0.414. Here's the calculation. Now if we see these octahedral voids, they are arranged in a square fashion. The shaded portion is your void. So in a triangle ABC, right-handed triangle, AC will be under root AB square plus BC square. AC will be your under root A square plus A square, and that comes to be under root 2A. The value of AC will be your 2r plus 2r because one r is of your A, the another r will be your C, and two smalls are from your voids. So there are two values of your AC. Now, what is AB? AB is your 2R. So, AB is also your edge length. So, AB is also your A. A is equal to 2R. And now dividing the 2R plus 2R upon 2R. So, 2 will be cancelled and the final answer we got will be your 0.141. And in this way, the radius of the ratio of the radius of void to the radius of sphere will become 0.414. This is all about your voids.